Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial I'm going to show you how we can create user profile by using Firebase Firestore database, and then how we can edit and update that profile information. This is our profile screen, and here we can see the information related to the profile in which the user is logged in. So this is the logged in user's user profile. So here we can see the user profile picture, then the username, then a short details about the user, and after that here we can see two buttons. The first one is to edit the profile, and then beside that we have the logout button. By clicking on this button, user can log out from the profile, and by clicking on the edit profile, user will be presented with the edit profile screen where user can edit the information related to the profile, and then the user can update it. And here user can select the profile image, so we can take photo or choose from library, or we can cancel it. So this is what we are going to implement today. And if we go to home screen, then we can see all the posts present for the app, and if we go to any other user, then we can see that these buttons are different for other users. So here we can see, instead of the edit and logout, we can see the message and follow buttons. So this is what we are going to implement today. And let me tell you that this tutorial is a part of a tutorial series in which I am showing you how to implement the social app by using Firebase. So if you are new to this series, then I will suggest you to check my previous tutorial in this series. It will be helpful to you, and by watching previous tutorials you can understand this tutorial pretty easily. You can check that tutorial from the I icon of the video, or I will put the link in the description below. So if you find this tutorial interesting to you, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post a new tutorial on this channel. So without wasting any more time, let's get started with the tutorial. So this is our profile screen.js file, and here we will implement the user profile UI first, then we will implement the Firebase Firestore functionalities. And for that, first we have this profile screen.js file, and then I have created another file to edit the profile. This is the edit profile screen.js file, and this is the basic functional component. Nothing special over here. We will implement this as well in this tutorial. And in the abstract.js file, we have created this profile stack, and within this profile stack I have provided this profile screen and this edit profile screen, and here are some header options for these profiles, and I have just called this profile stack in our tab screen. So that's what I have done. And then within this profile screen.js file, I have added these styles which we will use during our profile UI implementation. So that is what I have already added, so that we don't waste much more time to discussing the UI. So first let me get rid of this view, and along with this we don't need this text and this justify content and align items for this container. Now here first I will use safe area view, and then within this safe area view I will use scroll view, so that we can scroll that profile screen page. After the profile information, we have all the posts posted by the user, so that's why we will require the scroll view. And for this save view style, I will provide flex 1 and background color white. For the scroll view, I will provide container style. Then for the container style, I will provide justify content center and align items center as well. And after that, for vertical scroll indicator, I will provide false, so that we don't see the scroll bar while scrolling. Now after that, here I will provide an image, and this image will be user image, which is the profile image of the user. And for the source of it, currently I will provide an image from the local assets. So within assets directory we have users, then I will use an user image. So that's what I'm going to use now. And then after this user image, we will provide the username. So it will be username, and after the username we will provide about user information. So now I'm providing a dummy text over here. After this about user information, we will provide two buttons, and for that first we need to provide this user button wrapper style, and then we will provide touchable opacity to create the buttons, and here we will provide the button text. For this touchable opacity style we need to provide user button, and for the text we will provide user button text, and for on press of it currently we will provide a blank function. Now copy this button once again and create another button. So we have these two buttons, and later we will render this button dynamically to provide these two buttons or edit and logout button. Now after this button wrapper we will provide some user information. So it will be user info wrapper, and then we will create user info items, and then we need to provide the text information. So here first it will be post information, so the number of post and the post text. So for the style of it I will use user info title, and for this post text I will provide user info subtitle. Now after that copy this two more times, and then we will have followers and following information. So here we can provide any number as of now, and after these informations we will provide the post created by this user. So after this user info wrapper view we will provide post list like this. So we can grab these codes from our home screen. So within home screen we can see within this flat list we have this post card, and by this post card we are rendering all these posts, and we are getting this post data from our fetch post function, and we are calling that function within use effect. So I can copy all these codes and we can add it here, and here we only want to display post created by this logged in user or the user whose profile is being viewed. So here we need to specify the user ID for which we want to fetch the post, and while we were storing the post to our database, that time we are storing the user ID along with this post as well. So we can specify this user ID key within this where, and then we can check the user ID value with the specified user ID. So it is user ID with the capital I, and then we can specify the user ID, and right now we will provide the logged in user ID. So user.userid. Now then after this view we can provide map function for this post array, and for each item we can provide the postcard. So it will be postcard, and we need to import that postcard from our components directory, and we need to provide the key item ID, and for the item prop we will provide the items, and then we can see that we need to provide this on delete prop as well. So I have provided on delete prop, and let me create this handle delete function which is an empty function. Now save it. Now after saving it, here we can see an error, and here for this post default value we will provide an empty array. Now save it. Now after saving it, let's reload our app and now check it. Okay, so we are not seeing any data here. Let's check our console log. Here we can see an error, so we have provided invalid expression. Yes, here we need to provide how we want to compare it. So we are comparing it with the equal value of it. We are checking this user ID value with this user ID field. If it is equal to, then we want to display it. So we have provided double equal to, and along with this double equal to we can provide this greater than equal to, all other operators which we can use to compare the values. Now save it. Now after saving it, let's reload it once again. Now here is another thing. Here we can see we have an error, and the error is that the query requires an index and you can create it here. Then we have an URL, so we need to copy this URL. Now after copying this, we need to paste it to our browser and then hit enter. Now it goes to Firebase console, and here we are prompted with this index. We need to create the index in order to query the database. So click on this create index, and now the status is showing as building. After it's being completed, we will be able to query the data, and after that the data will be present over here. So we have to wait for a few moments to complete it, and after completing it we will continue with our project. Okay, so now it has been completed. We can see the status is enabled. Now let's reload our app. So now here we can see the post. So our user profile has been completed. Now after that I want to do another thing with this profile screen. Here we are seeing the profile from this profile bottom tab bar, and this is for the current logged in users user profile. But here in home screen we can see that we have post present for every users. So we want to visit other users profile from this post as well. If we click on this username, then we will be presented with that user's profile, and that time also we want to display this profile screen but with the information of that user. Now for that, first we want to update our app stack, and here within feed stack we are displaying this home screen, right? And now within this feed stack I want to add another screen within this stack, which will be our profile screen. So after this add post screen I want to add another screen, and that screen will be profile screen, and I have given the name of it home profile. And for the option of it I want to copy this option. So these are the options we will provide for the profile stack screen, and here for the background color I want to display white color for this header. Now save it. Now after saving it we need to update few things in our post card, and our post is coming from our home screen. First I want to update few things over here. I want to provide on press prop, and for this on press prop I want to provide navigation dot navigate. It will be navigation, and we want to get this navigation here. Now we can use it, and here we want to navigate to home profile, and along with it I want to provide user ID parameter, and that user ID I can provide from item dot user ID, and this thing will be within a curly brace. And here for each item we can see that we are having this user ID, right? So we can pass this value to our card. Now we need to go to our card. So this is our post card component, and here we can accept on press. And now let's wrap this username with touchable opacity, and for this touchable opacity I will provide this on press prop. Now save it. After saving it, let's see for any other user. If we click, then we can see the user profile, but here we can see this back arrow has been present. So we can go back and now display the user ID to our profile screen, so that we can identify that we are seeing the different users, and then we will dynamically change these buttons. So within this profile screen, after this text I will provide another text, and here we want to display the user ID. And first here in profile screen we will get navigation prop. Along with this we will receive route prop, and with this route prop we can check if we have any parameter to our route. Then we will display the user ID which have been provided by the route parameter of the navigation. Else we will display the user ID which is the current user's user ID. Now save it. After saving it, here we can see an user ID present, and if we go to our profile then we can see a different user ID. Now we can use this condition to display different buttons over here. So after this user button wrapper, if we have route params, that means we are seeing the user profile from our home screen. So here we want to display this message and follow button, and here we are seeing an error, so we want to wrap it with these empty tags. And if we don't have any route param, so that means we are requesting this file from our bottom tab navigator. So that time we want to display edit and logout button. So now we can see that nothing has been changed over here. But if we go to this profile screen, then we can see that the buttons has been changed. Now for this logout on press, we can use logout function, and for this edit on press, we will navigate to edit profile screen. Now save it. Now after saving it, let's check. So here we are at the edit profile screen. Now I will create the edit profile screen, then we will implement the functionality. And now within this edit profile screen, we don't have much more thing here. We will implement it by using one of my previous tutorial in which I have shown you how to implement the bottom sheet along with the edit profile screen. I will put the link in the description below so you can check the video for more details about it. I will not provide much more details here because I will use the same code over here. So I am not going to waste much more time to explain that, as it has already been explained previously. I am going to explain the Firebase functionalities here. So first let me copy that code over here, and then we will start implementing the Firebase functionalities. Okay, so I have added those codes in my edit profile screen.js file, and here I am just using the form button which we have already created previously in our components. So for the button I am using this form button component, not this touchable opacity, and rather than this, everything is similar to my previous tutorial which I was just referring. So here if we click on this photo, then we are prompted with this bottom sheet. Then we can choose photo from library. So we have to allow the access, and now we can select the photo, and after selecting the photo is present over here. And for these fields we can provide the details, and then we can update it. So right now we don't have the update functionality yet. I'm going to implement the update functionality here. So I want to handle update, and let me create that function. So it is the handle update, and I have used these states. So we have this image state which is handling these images. We have this user and logout from our use context. So after this name field, I have this user ID. So here we can see the user ID, and then we have this user data by which we are updating the state of our user data. So within this user data, we are storing the image URL and the user information, and later we will use this user data to update our Firestore database for our user. And I have imported all these things, and for the bottom sheet I am using this reanimated bottom sheet. So here you can see I have already installed it. So that is available in our package.json file. Now we will start implementing the Firebase functionalities. So here we want to edit the user profile. So that means we should have a user database previously present in our Firestore database, and that is what already present. So here I have done another thing. Within this authprovider.js file, while the user getting registered on our app, that time we are creating this users collection with the user ID, and we are storing the email and the created at value with it. Other than this, we are not storing other values. So when I have created authentication tutorial, that time I didn't show you this part. So you have to implement it. After that, when the user signs up, then we will have this users collection, and within this users collection we will have these documents for each user of our social app. And similarly, for our Facebook login and Google login, we need to provide the similar thing, but here the email will be from our current user email, and we need to run this only when users sign up. So as this is the login function, so I commented it out. I haven't created a separate sign up function for Facebook and Google, so that's why I haven't provided it in other function. I have provided in the login function, and I have used it when I used to sign up. Then I have commented it out. So you can grab this code from my GitHub repo, and now we can start editing it. So first we need to get the user information. So I have created this user data state. We will update our user data state with the user data which we will fetch from the Firebase. So first I am creating get user function, and it will be asynchronous function, and we have to await. Then we will use Firestore. So make sure you import it. After that we will specify the collection, and here the collection name is users, and then we will specify the user for which we are getting the user fields. It will be our current user who is logged in, right? So it will be our current user. Then we will get the data, then we will get the document snapshot, and we will check if document snapshot dot exist. If the data exists, then we will set user data with document snapshot dot data, and here we can do a console log to check our data. And after that, within a use effect, we can call this function. Now save it. Now after saving it, here we are getting the user data in our console, so it's working perfectly. So now we can get this data to display in our fields. So we have fields called fname, lname for first name, last name, right? So we are using all those fields in our text input values. If some value is present in our database, then that will be present over here, and when we will make any changes and update it, then we will update it. Now let's make the update functionalities. Now for that update functionality, we have to make sure that we are considering this image upload as well, right? So for that, we have already previously created the image uploading functionalities when we are creating the post, so we can get that code from our add post screen. So here we have this upload image function, so let's copy it and paste it here. So I have added it, and here after uploading the image, we are returning null if it is not successful, and if it is successful, then we are returning the URL of the image after adding it to our storage. And make sure you import the storage over here to use it. Now we can start implementing this handle update function. So here within this handle update, first we will handle the image uploading. We will call this upload image function, and we will receive the image URL. We have to use await because this upload image will require some time, and it will return the image URL. And as we have used await, so we have to use async. And after getting this image URL, we have to check few things. There are two types of case. The first one is the image is being uploaded and we are getting the image URL, and the other one is user is not updating the image, so there is no image URL. That means it will be null. So if there is no image selected, then we are returning null. So we have to check for that. If image URL is null and user data dot user image is present, so that means the user image is already present over here, but right now user want to update some text information related to the profile, not the user image. Then we want to update our image URL with user data user image. So we have handled the image URL. Now after that, we want to update the Firestore database. Now for that, call the Firebase, then collection, and the collection is users, then document, and the document will be user UID, which is the logged in users user ID. Then we want to update it. Now while updating, we have to store these fields. So user data fname, so this is the first name, then we have last name, then we have the about. After that about, we have the phone, then we have the country and city, and after all of this we have user image, which will be updated with image URL. Now after updating, we will display user updated in our console, and along with it we can provide an alert to the user. Your profile has been updated successfully. Now let's do an update, but before that I want to reload our app. Now go to edit, and here choose a photo from library. Now click on update. So that's how our profile is updated. Now let's see. So within our Firebase console, for this user we can see that the information is updated, and here for the user image we can see an image URL. Now let's check it in our storage. Now within our storage, here we can see that image is present. So everything is working perfectly. Now after this profile screen, again go to this edit screen to check if it is working perfectly or not. So yeah, it's working perfectly. So we have completed this edit profile screen perfectly. Now we want to work on this profile screen. It is not dynamic, so we have to make this dynamic. So within our profile screen, first we have to use this get user function. So after this fetch post, I have used this get user function. Let me remove this const as we are not using it. Now after this, within this use effect, we have to call this get user, and as we are setting the user data, so we need to use that user data over here. So I can copy this user data state and use it over here. Now we can use this user data to display our data dynamically. So here first for the image URI, we will check for the user data, and then we will display the user image, and else we will display a default image. So this is our default image URL. Let's use it over here. Now save it. So our image is present. Now after that, let's update the username. So here it will be similarly, if user data is present, then we will display the user data fname, and by default we will display this test for the first name, and similarly for the last name we will display the l name, and here I will display test user. Let me comment this user ID as we don't need it. Now for the about, we will use about, or if the about is not present, then we will display this message. Now save it. So it has been updated. Now after that, here we want to update this number of posts. So for that, we have this posts array which we are updating by this set post method. Then we can use post.length. Now save it. Now we can see that it has been updated, right? So it's working perfectly. And now after that, go to edit. Now update few things. Now let's check it. So here we can see that it's not updated. To see the update, we have to reload the app. So I want to change that. Here I want to add a line, navigation, add listener, focus, and here we want to update our loading state. If it is set to true, then it will be false. If it is false, then it will be set to true. And here in this dependency, I can provide navigation and loading. Now after saving it, let's update it again. So this is another test. Update it. So it has been updated. Now go back. Now we can see that it's getting updated automatically, right? So it's working perfectly. Now we want to update this post user information. Here we are seeing the default text and the default image, and similar case for our home screen as well. So I want to change that. Now for that, we need to grab this get user function, and within our card component we can use that, and we are setting the user data. So we have to copy this user data state as well, and to use it we need to get the use state from React. Now we can use this user data to display our username and the user image. So it will be this thing. So I copy it and paste it here, and similarly for the name, first name and last name. Here we need to update this user ID. Instead of using user ID, we need to get the user ID from item. For each item we are getting the user ID. Now save it. After saving it, let's reload our app. Okay, it's not showing because we haven't called it yet. So we need to call it within this use effect. Now save it. Okay, can't find variable Firestore, so we need to get the Firestore. Now let's import Firestore. Now save it. Now after saving it, we can see that it has been updated, but here we cannot see any data. So here we can add another thing. So we are checking if the user data first name is present, then we will display that, otherwise we will display test by using this OR operator. Similar thing for this L name as well, because we have this user data present for this user, but we don't have the first name or last name present. And similar thing for this user image as well. Let's do that. Now save it. Now we can see that it's showing perfectly. So this user doesn't have any user ID currently, so that's why it's showing as test user. Now if we go to test user data, then we are seeing the current user information. Now we have to change this accordingly. So within this profile screen, while we are getting the user data, that time we have to check for the parameter, route parameter. If we have route params, then we will get the user ID from route param user ID, else we will get the user ID by this user ID. Now save it. After saving it, we can see that it has been changed and no data is present. So here also we need to do the similar thing. And now for the fetch user post, here also we need to do the similar checking as we have done over here. So I can copy it and paste it over here. Now save it. After saving it, we can see that it has been updated, right? So we are seeing the another user profile over here, and we are seeing the current user's user ID here, and we can update it as we want. And now let's test the image as well. For the image uploading, here we have this transferred data. You can use this data to display and loader over here, because it's taking little time to upload the image and then it will be updated, right? Now go back. Now here we can see that it has been updated, right? So it's working perfectly. So this is the tutorial, guys. I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. If you do so, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and let me know by commenting down below. If you have any kind of suggestion for me, then also let me know, and share this tutorial with your friends and colleagues, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. In the meantime, have a great day. Goodbye.